David versus Goliath, the true underdog legend. The sun hung low over the battlefield, casting long shadows as the Israelites and the Philistines prepared for what seemed like an inevitable war. But then, something unexpected happened. A towering figure emerged from the ranks of the Philistine army. He was huge. He was scary. Every step he took sent a shiver through the hearts of those watching. Clad in massive armor, and with a voice that boomed like thunder, Goliath, the champion of the Philistines, took his position on the field. "Send me your best fighter," he bellowed, his deep voice shaking the ground beneath him. His gaze swept over the Israelites, daring any of them to step forward. Behind the lines, Israel's soldiers cowered, their faces pale with fear. One soldier, unable to control his terror, trembled so violently he looked ready to collapse. But far from the battlefield, in a peaceful pasture, David, the youngest son of Jesse, was tending to his father's sheep. The calm of the rolling hills and the soft bleating of his goats were all David knew in that moment, his fingers lightly strumming his harp as he played a simple melody. It wasn't until his father, Jesse, appeared at the edge of the pasture, holding a bag of snacks, that David's quiet day was interrupted. "Snack delivery, please," Jesse joked, handing David a bag labeled cheese and grain chips. David smiled and accepted the snack. But soon, his father's expression turned serious. "You must go," Jesse said. "Take these supplies to your brothers on the battlefield." David nodded, a sense of curiosity building inside him. He had heard the rumors of the great battle, but he had no idea that it would soon draw him into a moment that would change the world forever. As David walked towards the camp, the sounds of the battlefield grew louder. When he finally arrived, the sight that greeted him was almost too much to believe. There, towering above everyone, was Goliath, mocking the Israelites, taunting them with his words and laughter. David's eyes widened as he saw soldiers ducking behind rocks and hiding in barrels, fear gripping them all. David suddenly declared, stepping forward as the soldiers stared at him in disbelief. The king, Saul, looked at David with concern. "You're just a boy. This man has been a warrior since his youth. How can you defeat him?" But David's confidence remained unshaken. "I may be young," he said, "but I have faced lions and bears and defeated them with the strength of the Lord." His voice was calm, but there was no mistaking the resolve behind his words. Saul, reluctantly, ordered his armor to be brought. The armor was comically large on David, and as he tried to move, he nearly collapsed under its weight. He struggled to lift the helmet, pulling it off his head with a sigh. "Nah," he said with a grin. "I'm good." Without hesitation, David walked toward a nearby brook, the cool water reflecting the golden light of the afternoon. He knelt, his fingers brushing the smooth stones at the water's edge. Picking 5 of the best, he tucked them into his pouch and stood, a glint of determination in his eyes. His sheep, grazing nearby, seemed to cheer him on, their bleats echoing like a crowd at a sports event. David walked slowly back toward Goliath, his sling in hand. The wind picked up, swirling around him as the giant across from him laughed and sneered. "Huh, is this a joke?" Goliath's voice rumbled. David, unwavering, met his gaze. "I come to you in the name of the Lord, the God of Israel, whom you have defied," he declared, his voice firm. With a swift motion, he placed one stone into his sling and spun it overhead. The stone whipped through the air with incredible speed, cutting through the tension like a knife through butter. Time seemed to slow as the stone flew toward Goliath, and then, with a sharp whack, it struck the giant square in the forehead. The world held its breath as Goliath, stunned, took a single, staggering step backward. And then, in a moment that could only be described as divine, he fell, his enormous body crumpling to the ground with a loud thud, his armor clattering beside him. A cheer erupted from the Israelite camp as David stood tall, victorious. The soldiers, who had once quaked in fear, now ran to him, lifting him up as their hero. But David simply smiled, his heart filled not with pride, but with a deep sense of gratitude. He had faced the greatest challenge of his life and triumphed, not because he was the strongest, but because he had faith in the power of the Lord. Standing atop a hill that overlooked the battlefield, David reflected on his journey. He had faced lions, bears, and now, this giant. His victory wasn't a result of his size or strength, but his unwavering courage and faith. He wasn't the biggest, but he knew that, with God on his side, there was nothing he couldn't overcome. The memories of his past victories flashed before his eyes, each one a testament to the faith that had carried him through. And as he gazed at the horizon, his heart swelled with the lesson he had learned. Courage, faith, victory. Back in the past year, David resumed, playing his harp, the soft melodies filling the air once more. Yet, as he looked up, a giant shadow loomed over him, an intimidating figure that seemed to stretch across the entire field. It was fear, anxiety, doubtful, the modern-day Goliaths we face. But David didn't flinch. With a calm smile, he turned back to his music, knowing that, just like before, with the Lord on his side, he could face anything. "What's your Goliath?" the voice asked, echoing in his mind. David, still smiling, answered with a quiet confidence, "I'll take it on." And so, the story of David and Goliath became more than just a tale of an underdog's victory. It became a reminder that, no matter the size of our challenges, with courage, faith, and trust in something greater, we can face and overcome our own giants.